I don't want to discourage anyone to not buy single family houses because it grew our wealth to where we are today, and it was a huge learning experience, and we still have some houses as investments, but we switched into multifamily and hospitality because then every room has a similar layout. I don't have an AC technician in Cape Coral, and I have to.
Let's spend 10 minutes together to change your life.
Matt, how many properties do you, how many property managers do you work with? Like, give a rough estimate for me so I could understand how massive the outsourcing army that you've built.
Yeah, so right now we service about 110 property management companies. We have about I want to say around 100 virtual assistants across Latin America and Asia. And we're probably servicing a little over 3,000 units across, Australia, Europe, North America, Latin America.
That's awesome.
So, yeah. I have some war stories. I've seen so many things. And, I would actually just take a moment to just say that, I go into people's businesses and I'm able to see and consult on how to make their processes better. But I want people to know that the biggest companies that look very professional, they're also having extreme challenges that you are probably also facing. This industry is there's always something. You're always playing a game of whack-a-mole. Real estate has so many moving pieces. Hospitality has so many moving pieces because it's a people's business. So don't think that anybody
is there a certain weakness that's shared between
hands-off solution.
I was just wondering if there's a common weakness throughout the 3,000 properties where you instantly see it as soon as they come on, you kind of solve that issue for them.
I wouldn't say there's. I think it's just real estate in general, like single family real estate. Every property is different. The properties are spread out all over the place. And, you sometimes, you need different vendors to service the different properties, and they all have different layouts. And I would say that is the commonality that all of us struggle with, is there's no continuity. And it forces all of us to have, it's a similar problem, but it's different this time. And it forces you to, have to have a team that can think outside the box.
Well,
and they can't be so process driven.
You put principles in place to tackle those things, right? So now when you see those issues come up, you have a guideline or a framework to follow, and you can implement and help them grow it, right? Is that kind of...
Absolutely. And I would say the number one thing that I see almost everybody facing issues with is going to be with the vendors. Vendors are businesses, they're humans, they have good days, they have bad days, and, they're dealing with a home that, might not have been taken care of, and, it's also a challenge for them. And I would say that we rely on them so much, and they're going to make mistakes, and that's going to put a lot of pressure on us as well as property managers. And when you need something done in hospitality, it needs to get done in under an hour. It needs to get done yesterday, and you're relying on somebody that has a whole other schedule, and if your properties are all spread out all over the place, it becomes a challenge to get somebody out there.
Yeah, like Airbnb tracks like how quick you respond, right? You have to respond within an hour, otherwise you go low on the algorithm, right? They track this information. So if you're at work doing something else, get distracted, you're trying to handle too many things, it's impossible to respond that quick, and then the guests, your business is going to be impacted by that. So if you have a team that can instantly respond to that, just focus on the guest communications, you're going to be ahead of the curve.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I would just say vendors, managing physical boots on the ground is the biggest challenge that almost every single operator is having.
Well, that's why we got bigger. We got out of mostly. I don't want to discourage anyone to not buy single family houses, because it grew our wealth to where we are today, and it was a huge learning experience. And we still have some houses as investments, but we switched into multifamily and hospitality because then every room has a similar layout. I don't have an AC technician in Cape Coral and I have to have another AC technician in Port Charlotte. It was very hard for us to scale the single family housing model and run it as like an STR or even like an annual lease type of business, because of the type of issues that you were describing. If my AC breaks July 4th, this happened. Our AC broke July 4th in a weekend.
Like 2 days.
Yeah, I had guests coming, or they were. It was impossible to get a technician. Yeah. And I think also I had another property July 4th where like the door code just stopped, working. And here I'm working on July 4th. This was a few years ago. Had 2 different houses with like I couldn't get a repairman to go to either, because and this was spread out. So that's why we switched to multifamily and have our outsourcing practices and guidelines in place, because it was just scalable for us to rather have a 20 unit building
in one location
than 20 houses
all over Florida. It was just logistics wise, it was too complicated.
What's your tech?
Yeah, I agree.
Your background's in engineering, so I would just be interested, like, what we are huge believers that technology scales humanity, let alone your business. So what does your tech stack look like for CS Outsource? How do you manage your teams? What does your communication look like? I would just love to know, like, even the apps on your iPhone.
Yeah. That's a really good question. I have a couple of opinions on this. I've actually come to realize, like, UI and UX in software it just is such an underrated feature. If something is usable and pretty to use and it's logical where buttons are, that is something I start leaning towards a little bit more. So in our business, first things first, we don't implement any softwares on our clients. So we jump in and, see what they're using, and then we integrate with them. I don't want it to be the other way around. But if I were to give advice to people on, how to come up with like a solid tech stack, is number one, just get clear on your requirements. It's so easy to get lost in, should I use Logify or Hostaway or OwnerRez? And, it's there's so many features out there. And it's so much better if you can actually just write out what do you really need here? And then how, what are the suggested workflows that you're looking for? And then go on the calls with the sales reps and just outline very clearly those features and the workflows that you're looking for. So some of the ones that I really recommend on the property management software side of things would be OwnerRez and Hostaway if you have like a lot of back-end configurations that you need, especially if you're into direct bookings. And then, a great lightweight PMS that I always recommend is Hospitable. It's very easy to use. You can get it up and running in a day. Our VAs love it. And it's been very reliable for us. So that's on the PMS side of things. On the pricing side, with things like Price Labs and Wheelhouse, Beyond, you know, I I I think it comes down to more of, how you use those tools. They all have so many features, and the value you get out of a tool like that is your ability to use it. So go into the UI and UX and see if it has the features that you need. And some of them might be overly complex for you, and you don't need that. But pricing tools really come down to the operator and your ability to use them and have a plan. And then when it comes to communication side of things, I think Slack is hands down the best for communications. You can create threads with teams. You can separate, each channel represents a different department. Invite only the people that you need, right? You can have it on your phone. It integrates with so many other tools. So Slack is a great one. And then if you need a day-to-day operations like task management type of tool, if you're large enough, something like Breezeway or Operto Teams, that's great. But if you're smaller and you don't need a full-on robust software, something as simple as Airtable or Asana or Monday.com is great for task management and keeping all information centralized. So I would also say when it comes to documentation, one tool or two tools that I really recommend are Notion and Loom, especially Loom for screen recording. There's just so much more information you can get across in a video with audio. Humans are better at getting information from our ears and eyes than we are from reading something. And written documentation in a Google document is often missing so many steps, and it's hard to describe a system or a process that is in a software and how to navigate that software if you're writing it out. Whereas like in a Loom, if you're doing a screen recording, you can just show them. Literally, that's where the button is. That's what you need to click. And we're better at getting information with our eyes and ears, right? So you're making it easier to document your business that way and, get tribal knowledge out of just your head. All right, so that's generally what I recommend on the tech stack side of things.
Matt, thank you so much for your time today. This was so valuable. If you're listening and you are in the weeds, Matt, Metros, and CS Outsource will get you to the trees. They'll help you get growing. So where can people contact you? CSOutsource.com? Where do you want people to reach you?
Yeah, so I'm active on Facebook. Just type in Matthew Metros. And then also visit our website, CSOutsource.com. Read about us, check out some of the different services we offer. And, at the end of the day, we offer so many different services to help you get out of the business. Just have a conversation with me. I'm happy to scope out, a project. And even if I'm not the right person, I know so many other people in this industry, and I can connect you to the right person.
That's we appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.